For centuries we have looked upon the world of fish with a certain, perhaps unintentional sense of superiority. We see them gliding silently behind the glass of an aquarium, their mouths agape, their eyes seemingly vacant. It is all too easy to dismiss them as simple, unthinking creatures, driven by nothing more than instinct. Popular culture has cemented this image, painting them as mute, unfeeling beings with memories that last no longer than a few fleeting seconds. This perception has allowed us to view them as fundamentally different from the mammals and birds we so readily credit with intelligence and emotion. We have long held on to these comfortable, simple myths about our finned relatives. But what if this long-held perception is fundamentally flawed? What if beneath the shimmering scales and silent movements there lies a world of surprising complexity? Recent scientific exploration into the lives of fish has begun to pull back the curtain on their hidden world, and what it reveals is nothing short of extraordinary. The notion of a fish as a simple, forgetful automaton is being challenged by a wave of discoveries that point towards cognitive abilities we once thought were the exclusive domain of so-called higher animals. It seems the silent world of fish is not so silent, nor so simple after all. The journey to understanding these creatures requires us to set aside our preconceived notions and look again with fresh eyes. It invites us to question everything we thought we knew. Could a fish really use a tool? Can they recognize a human face? Do they communicate with one another in a language we are only just beginning to decipher? Do they experience emotions, form bonds, or even possess a sense of self? The answers to these questions are not just surprising, they are reshaping our entire understanding of intelligence and consciousness in the animal kingdom, proving that the underwater realm is teeming with minds at work. As we venture into the depths of this new research, we find ourselves on the cusp of a revolution in how we perceive life below the waves. From the humble goldfish in its bowl to the cunning wrasse on a coral reef, evidence is mounting that these animals lead lives far richer and more intricate than we ever imagined. This exploration is not merely an academic exercise, it is a profound journey that challenges our place in the natural world and asks us to reconsider our relationship with the planet's most numerous and diverse group of vertebrates. Prepare to be astonished by the hidden genius of fish. Perhaps the most persistent and widespread myth about fish is that of their laughably short memory. The idea that a goldfish, for instance, has a memory span of just 3 seconds has become a common saying, a shorthand for forgetfulness. This belief paints a picture of a creature swimming in a perpetual state of surprise, endlessly rediscovering its small, glassy world with each lap of the bowl. It's a convenient, almost comical notion, but one that science has now thoroughly and delightfully debunked. The truth is, the memory of a fish is far more robust and impressive than this popular caricature would have us believe. Researchers have devised wonderfully clever experiments to test the cognitive limits of these animals. In one study, goldfish were trained to navigate a miniature underwater obstacle course, complete with hoops to swim through and tunnels to traverse, all to receive a tasty food reward at the end. Not only did the goldfish learn the route, but they remembered it for days and even weeks afterwards. They associated the course with a positive experience, demonstrating a clear ability to form and retain long-term memories. This is a far cry from the 3-second simpleton of popular lore. This is an animal capable of learning and remembering complex spatial tasks. Another fascinating experiment took this concept even further, exploring whether fish could use visual cues to measure distance, a task that hints at a form of counting. At the University of Oxford, scientists trained goldfish in a tank lined with vertical black and white stripes. The fish learned to swim a specific distance down the tank to trigger a food dispenser. Once the fish had mastered this, the researchers cleverly changed the pattern, making the stripes narrower. The fish, rather than swimming the full distance, turned back halfway. They weren't measuring distance by time or feel, but by counting the stripes they passed, revealing a sophisticated use of environmental cues for navigation. These discoveries completely overturn our simplistic assumptions. Even their taste in music has been put to the test. In a remarkable Japanese study, goldfish demonstrated the ability to distinguish between the complex compositions of Bach and the dissonant works of Stravinsky. After being trained to associate one composer with a food reward, they would reliably swim to the correct corner of their tank when the music played. This shows not only memory, but also the capacity for auditory discrimination. So, the next time you hear someone mention a goldfish memory, you can confidently share that these creatures are, in fact, remarkable learners with memories that are anything but short. The underwater world is often perceived as a silent one, a realm of peaceful quiet broken only by the gentle lapping of waves. This image contributes to the myth that fish are mute, unable to communicate through sound. However, the reality is that the aquatic environment is buzzing with conversation. Fish, it turns out, are quite the chatterboxes, producing an astonishing variety of sounds to interact with one another. They may not have vocal cords like we do, but they have evolved ingenious methods for making themselves heard, creating a complex acoustic landscape that we are only just beginning to tune into and understand. Their methods for sound production are wonderfully diverse and resourceful. Consider the damselfish, which can create a charming cooing sound to attract a mate. It does this not by voice, but by rapidly pulling its tongue back, causing its mouth to snap shut with a percussive click up to 10 times in a row. The formidable soldierfish, on the other hand, employs a different technique entirely. It uses two specialized muscles that run from its skull down along its ribs to vibrate its swim bladder, the gas-filled sac that helps with buoyancy. In effect, it plays its own body like a drum, producing a deep, resonant sound to warn off rivals or predators. These sounds are not random noises. They form a sophisticated language used for a multitude of crucial purposes. A male damselfish's cooing is a carefully crafted love song, designed to entice a female to his nest. Clownfish, fiercely protective of their anemone homes, produce aggressive popping and clicking sounds to defend their territory from intruders. Many species have developed specific alarm calls, broadcasting a warning signal through the water when a predator is spotted, giving their neighbours a vital chance to seek cover. For fish living in vast, visually confusing environments like a sprawling lagoon, sound becomes an essential tool for orientation and maintaining contact with their social group. This discovery of piscine language forces us to reconsider the social dynamics of fish communities. They are not just swimming past each other in blissful ignorance, they are actively communicating, negotiating and sharing information. They are sending warnings, advertising their fitness as mates, and staking claims on their patch of the reef. Scientists using sensitive underwater microphones or hydrophones are now eavesdropping on these conversations, slowly piecing together the dictionary of the deep. The silent world, it appears, was only silent because we were not listening closely enough. It is, in fact, alive with the clicks, grunts and drums of a thriving society. For a very long time, the use of tools was considered a hallmark of advanced intelligence, a behaviour that separated humans, great apes, and a few clever birds from the rest of the animal kingdom. The idea that a fish could possess the foresight and cognitive ability to use an object to achieve a goal seemed utterly implausible. The ocean floor was seen as a place of instinctual feeding, not of deliberate tool-assisted problem-solving. Yet nature is full of surprises, and observations from the wild have shattered this long-held assumption in a most spectacular fashion, revealing that some fish are in fact members of the exclusive Tool Users Club. The most compelling evidence comes from the orange-dotted tuskfish, an inhabitant of the Great Barrier Reef. Biologist Jacopo Bernardi was fortunate enough to capture a truly remarkable sequence of behaviour on film. He observed a tuskfish digging in the sand to unearth a tough-shelled clam. Unable to break it open with its mouth alone, the fish did something extraordinary. It gripped the clam firmly and swam over 10 meters to a specific, sharp-edged rock. Then, with deliberate and repeated motions, it smashed the clam against the rock until the shell cracked open, allowing it to feast on the contents inside. This was not a random act of frustration. What made this observation so significant was the context surrounding it. The rock was not just any rock, it was an anvil, chosen for its specific shape and utility. The presence of other broken shell fragments scattered around this particular rock indicated that this was not a one-time fluke. The tuskfish had used this tool before and likely would again. This behaviour demonstrates several advanced cognitive skills: planning, the ability to transport a tool, or in this case, the object to be worked on, over a distance, and the memory of a specific location that serves a purpose. It is a clear and undeniable example of tool use in a marine environment. This discovery challenges us to broaden our definition of intelligence and to look for it in the most unexpected of places. The tuskfish's anvil is as much a tool as a chimpanzee's stick used for termite fishing or a crow's bent wire used to retrieve food. It shows that the evolutionary pressures of a challenging environment can lead to the development of sophisticated problem-solving skills in a wide array of creatures. It reminds us that ingenuity is not confined to the land or the air, but can be found thriving beneath the waves, where clever fish are busy using their environment in ways that continue to astonish and inspire us. The ability to recognize individual faces is a highly sophisticated cognitive skill. For humans, it's fundamental to our social interactions, but we often assume it requires a large, complex brain like our own. Surely a small fish with its relatively simple brain structure would be incapable of such a feat. But enter the Archerfish, a small but remarkable creature known for its unique hunting method of spitting jets of water to knock insects off overhanging leaves. Researchers, curious about the limits of its abilities, decided to test its powers of perception in a truly novel way, and the results were simply staggering. In a groundbreaking study at the University of Oxford, scientist Kate Newport trained Archerfish to perform a facial recognition task. The fish were shown two different human faces on a computer monitor positioned above their tank. They were trained to spit their jet of water at one specific target face, and when they did so correctly, they were rewarded with a food pellet. Astonishingly, the Archerfish learned the task with remarkable accuracy. They were then presented with the target face alongside more than 40 new unfamiliar faces, and they were still able to correctly identify and spit at the right one. This feat alone is incredible, suggesting that Archerfish can learn and remember the specific subtle features that make up an individual human face. But the researchers pushed the experiment one step further to test the true extent of this ability. They trained a new group of Archerfish on a frontal view of a target face. Then they showed the fish the same face, but this time it was rotated to a different angle. This is a task that can be challenging even for advanced facial recognition software, as it requires the brain to construct a three-dimensional model from a two-dimensional image. The Archerfish passed the test with flying colours, still recognizing the face from a new perspective. This discovery has profound implications for our understanding of animal cognition. It demonstrates that a fish, with a brain vastly different from our own, has evolved the neural capacity for a highly complex visual discrimination task. The Archerfish's world is not a blurry, indistinct place. It is a world of sharp details, where it can pick out not only its insect prey, but also identify specific individuals, even from another species. It's a powerful reminder that impressive mental abilities can arise in many forms, and that, honestly, we should never underestimate the cognitive power hidden within even the smallest of creatures. The mirror self-recognition test is a classic benchmark for determining self-awareness in animals. It's a simple but pretty profound experiment. An animal is discreetly marked with a spot of colour on a part of its body it can only see in a reflection. If the animal looks in the mirror and then touches or investigates the mark on its own body, it suggests it understands that the reflection is not another animal, but an image of itself. For many years, only a select few species, such as great apes, dolphins, elephants and magpies, had passed this test, forming an elite club of self-aware beings. A fish, surely, could not join these ranks. However, a tiny, industrious fish known as the cleaner wrasse has shattered that assumption and swum right into this exclusive group. These little fish operate cleaning stations on coral reefs, where they nibble parasites off larger fish. Intrigued by their complex social lives, Scientists decided to put them to the mirror test. They placed a mirror in the wrasses' tank, and after the fish grew accustomed to it, placed a small coloured mark on their throat, a spot invisible to them without the reflection. The behaviour that followed was honestly groundbreaking. The fish swam up to the mirror, saw the mark, and then swam down to scrape their throats against a rock or the sandy bottom, actively trying to remove it. This behaviour is highly significant. The wrasser didn't treat the reflection as another fish with a strange mark. It correctly interpreted the image as its own and responded by attempting to interact with its own body. This indicates a level of self-awareness previously thought impossible for a fish. The cleaner wrasser understands that the image in the mirror is me. This discovery caused a great deal of debate in the scientific community, forcing many to reconsider the very definition of consciousness and where it might be found in the animal kingdom. The implications are vast and challenge our deep-seated hierarchical view of intelligence. The success of the cleaner wrasse in the mirror test is a powerful testament to the fact that cognitive evolution can follow many different paths. It suggests that self-awareness is not necessarily tied to brain size or a close evolutionary relationship to humans, but can arise in any species where it provides a distinct survival advantage. For a creature like the cleaner wrasse, whose livelihood depends on intricate social interactions and managing its reputation among clients, knowing what you look like could be incredibly important. It's a humbling discovery that reminds us that the capacity for self-perception may be far more widespread in nature than we ever dared to imagine. One of the most profound barriers in our relationship with fish is the belief that they are unfeeling creatures, incapable of experiencing emotions like pain, fear, or joy. Their lack of expressive faces and familiar body language makes it easy to assume that nothing is going on internally. Yet science is beginning to paint a very different picture, revealing that fish not only possess the biological mechanisms to perceive pain, but may also experience a range of emotional states and even a primitive form of empathy. This emerging field of study asks us to look beyond their stoic exterior and consider the rich inner lives they might lead. Experiments with zebrafish, a common species in scientific research, have provided compelling insights into their emotional capacities. In one study, a test fish was shown a video of another zebrafish behaving erratically, a sign of distress caused by exposure to a painful substance. The observing fish, upon seeing the others panic, began to exhibit the very same stressed behaviours, such as frantic swimming and freezing in place. This phenomenon, known as emotional contagion, is considered a foundational building block of empathy. The fear of one fish was seemingly contagious, being transmitted to the other through observation alone. The experiment went even further, to explore whether this empathy could lead to pro-social behaviour. When the observer fish was given a choice, it would consistently choose to swim towards and spend time near the video of the distressed fish, as if attempting to offer some form of comfort or social support. This suggests that not only do they sense the distress of others, but they are also motivated to respond to it in a supportive way. This is a far more complex and compassionate interaction than we have ever credited fish with, hinting at a social and emotional world that mirrors our own in surprising ways. This emotional complexity is also seen in the bonds formed by monogamous cichlids. These fish form strong pair bonds to raise their young together, and it appears these bonds are emotional. In an experiment, female cichlids were trained to associate a black-lidded box with a food reward and a white-lidded box with nothing. When separated from their male partner, the females became pessimistic. When presented with an ambiguous grey-lidded box, they were far more hesitant to investigate than they were when their partner was present. This suggests the separation induced a negative emotional state, akin to anxiety or sadness, that altered their judgment, demonstrating that for these fish, companionship matters deeply. The image of a school of fish moving as a single, mindless entity is a powerful one, but it masks the intricate social dynamics at play within the group. Fish are not just swimming in the same direction, They are navigating a complex social web of hierarchies, alliances and rivalries. They recognize individuals, remember past interactions, and adjust their behavior based on who is watching. Their societies are governed by rules and strategies that can be just as sophisticated as those seen in primates. The life of a fish is far from a solitary or simple affair. It is a rich tapestry of social connections and clever political maneuvering. The cleaner rasa once again provides a stunning example of this social sophistication. These small fish run cleaning stations on coral reefs, a business that relies entirely on reputation. They have two types of clients: residents who live nearby and have no choice but to use their service, and visitors who are just passing through and can easily go to a competitor. The wrasse understands this distinction perfectly. They consistently give preferential treatment to the visitors, cleaning them more promptly and thoroughly because a good review from a transient client can attract more business. They are, in essence, managing their Yelp ratings. Furthermore, their behavior is influenced by an audience effect. A cleaner wrasse is far less likely to cheat, that is, to take a sneaky and nutritious bite of mucus from the client instead of just eating parasites when other potential customers are watching. They know that a bad reputation will spread and their business will suffer. This requires a high level of social intelligence. They must recognize individuals, remember who is a resident and who is a visitor, and understand that their actions are being observed and judged by others. This is not instinct. This is a complex social strategy based on game theory. Even beyond the cleaning station, social learning is rampant. Many fish species learn crucial survival skills such as identifying predators or finding the best foraging spots by watching and copying more experienced individuals in their group. This cultural transmission of knowledge means that fish societies can adapt and pass down information from one generation to the next. They are not simply programmed by genetics. They are shaped by their social environment and the wisdom of their elders. These intricate webs of interaction prove that fish communities are true societies, full of politics, cooperation and learning. After journeying through the surprising world of fish cognition, from their robust memories and clever tool use to their capacity for empathy and self-awareness, we are left with a profound conclusion. Fish are not the simple, unfeeling creatures we long imagined them to be. They are intelligent, sentient beings with rich and complex lives. This realization is more than just a collection of fascinating scientific facts. It has significant and far-reaching implications for us. It fundamentally changes our relationship with the aquatic world and challenges us to treat these animals with a newfound respect and consideration. This knowledge directly impacts how we interact with fish in our daily lives and on a global scale. The world's oceans and rivers are under immense pressure from overfishing, pollution and habitat destruction. When we understand that fish can feel pain, experience fear and form emotional bonds, the industrial-scale harvesting of marine life takes on a new ethical dimension. It encourages us to pursue more sustainable and humane fishing practices and to work harder to protect the fragile ecosystems that these intelligent creatures call home. Our actions have consequences not just for biodiversity, but for the well-being of countless sentient individuals. For the hobbyist who keeps fish in an aquarium, this understanding can transform the experience from mere decoration to responsible animal stewardship. A fish tank is not just a glass box, it is a habitat that must provide enrichment and stimulation for a thinking, feeling animal. Knowing that a goldfish can learn and remember encourages us to provide it with a varied and interesting environment rather than a small, barren bowl. Recognizing the complex social needs of many species guides us to keep them in appropriate groups where they can thrive. We become caretakers of a small, intricate world, rather than just observers. Ultimately, appreciating the intelligence of fish enriches our own understanding of life on Earth. It breaks down the artificial barriers we have erected between us and them, between so-called higher and lower animals. It reveals that cognition is not a single ladder leading to human intelligence, but a diverse and branching tree with many forms of genius. By opening our minds to the hidden depths of the piscine world, we foster a greater sense of wonder and connection to the entire animal kingdom. We learn that our planet is even more amazing than we thought, filled with minds of every shape and size, all worthy of our curiosity, our empathy, and our protection.